Hi everyone, this is Becky, Ruth, and Amir from Lendlord. And today's session is going to be really useful and informative because Amir is going to walk us through how the Lendlord app even works. Ruth and I have been huge fans of Lendlord as like a massive solution, especially as remote landlords for managing our property portfolio. So thank you so much, Amir, for walking us through because I know we are probably just at touching the surface of what this platform can do, and we already love it. So we're excited to learn more.
Really fun. I'm really happy to have the opportunity to meet the two of you and really happy to see also the content that you're creating, the work that you do, your travels, everything that's happening is really cool and exciting. And so it's a great opportunity to get to meet you today and happy really just to go through the app, through some features. I definitely agree. You could basically do a doctorate about the app. And so everyone can basically use different features of the app to suit their own portfolio, their own needs, their own goals. A lot of people will use the investment section and not use the management section. A lot of people use the management section, but they're just maintaining a portfolio and not really looking to go into new endeavors. So yeah, we'll touch some of the features and yeah.
We're really
Fantastic.
excited. We're really excited about this. I think because Becky's already said, like, we were searching for something like this for a really long time, and I have no idea. It must have been the algorithms that brought you to us. And we were like, thank goodness, because it really does have we do not like using tons of apps, and this keeps everything in one place, which is, yeah, in 2025, you don't want to be giving your attention to multiple different places, just want to keep it in one place, and this really does it for us. So yeah, I'm really excited to see to actually learn more on how to use it really well.
Nice. Should we dive in? Should we start with the Chrome extension?
Yes, explain that.
All right, fantastic. On Lendlord, at the top, there's basically on the left-hand side, you can see the investment section, the management section, and the finance section. So these are the three main sections of Lendlord that we've divided it up to make it organized. In the investment section, there's on-market properties. So we have over 200,000 properties available on the market, while there are still more properties available in the market. So Rightmove, Zoopla, on the market, there's still hundreds of thousands of more properties available. And what we've done is actually create the opportunity. We've created a tool that helps investors assess potential on Rightmove and Zoopla. So you're scouring through Rightmove, you're looking at Zoopla on the market and beautiful properties. You're trying to figure out, okay, is this really worth £200,000? Is this worth £300,000? If I bought this for £80,000, is this a really good deal? And so we're trying to help create that knowledge base through this new feature that we've created. So I'm going to go into Rightmove. Can you see my screen? Fantastic. And I'm going to take an example of property. Basically, I've looked up property in an area, looking through. All right, this looks beautiful. One also looks great. I love brick tiles. I'm gonna go for this one. Just have a look at this, and I say, okay, for whatever reason it is, I believe this is a good property, or this is in my budget, and I know the area, whatever it is. For whatever reason, I think I might be interested in this property. I still want to know, is it a good buy? So what I can do is, alongside from looking up the data in Rightmove, I can actually go here to the Chrome extension. So I've downloaded this Lendlord Deal Analyzer extension. And when I click on that, can you see this? Yeah, fantastic. So basically I can
Awesome.
get to
Oh,
see.
this is so good. I'm just blown away. Sorry, carry on.
Fantastic. So basically, depends on my strategy. Is it a buy to let? Is this a flip? Is this a BRRR? What am I actually aiming for? Do I want to raise equity? Do I want to create cash flow? All the things that you teach. So this is the opportunity to look and try to realize the potential of the certain strategy that I want to try to implement. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
What one should we go for? The buy to let would be
BRRR.
fantastic. I thought you were going to say that because the buy to let is more trivial, flip as well, and the BRRR really tests the system regarding the amount of complicated calculations that need to take place in order to realize the returns. So I'm
Yeah,
happy. I'm
yeah.
happy that we're taking the BRRR because that's probably the most difficult one to realize the potential with all the different numbers.
Yeah, we think with that one, because then you can test it then based on like flip and rental profit, and it's better to have multiple like multiple options with the property than just the one thing.
Nice, fantastic. I love that. So this is basically downloading the data at the moment. The analysis strategy is going to be the BRRR. So here we go. We can see the location. We can zoom out if we wanted to. We could also zoom in. This is a feature I really love. Personally, I'm a Google map freak. I think this is the coolest thing. So basically, I can actually just see the street. So, okay, looks nice or doesn't look nice.
I like that you
So
built that in there, because when we teach in our roadmap, we say do this, go and look at the street. Even if you can't get there, it's so important to see what the street looks like, kind of get a vibe for the neighborhood. Is there going to be
yeah,
any issues nearby that you can identify? Yeah, that's really good that's in there.
yeah. So it makes it really easy and very accessible. Ruth, as you said, we're trying to create everything in one place. So instead of going into the Google app, looking up the map, looking at the road number, and so on, we just get it here. Here we get the basic metrics of the property. We can see growth that's based over the last 5 years in the area, which is important to know. And so what we can see here, we can see the first breakdown. So this is the property purchase price. We can see the refurb cost is just set as a default. That would be something that you would have to dictate, saying, I want to spend £10,000 or I want to spend £40,000 on a renovation. That would be up to the person going into the project, realizing how much they need to spend to do the renovation. So this is more set as a default.
Oh, can I ask?
After, yeah,
Sorry, I just ask about the refurb costs. Are those in line with the average costs per like a low refurb, a medium refurb, and a like spending a lot more, like on average for this type of property? Is that what that's there, or does it change?
it's not done as an average. I think it's done as a percent of the value of the property. I think it's, is that, what is that? I think it's 5%.
Okay, great.
Divided 18,250 times 20 is probably this number. I think it's down to 5% of the property value.
Hey, that's great. That's really great because then you'd have to figure that out. You'd have to figure that out yourself. It's already done it.
Yes and no, because it might be a property that's really beautiful and it just needs kind of paint done. And you might see the property and say, okay, actually, if I were able to add a parking space or break down take a 3-bedroom, turn it into a 5-bedroom, and so on. So the refurb costs might be different. There is a refurb analyzer. We can go into that in a moment, and I can show you. There's also, I don't know if I can say, I think it's okay to say we have an incredible feature coming up soon, which is going to be an AI assistant helping you do renovations. So you take a video of the place.
Aviram mentioned that actually, and we were blown
okay.
away. Is take a picture of it, and then it'll tell you how much it's gonna cost.
Yeah, I didn't know if I was allowed to say it, but I understand that yes.
He already said.
Well, save so much travel cost as well. So I'm quite excited for this.
Yeah. And yeah, so regarding the refurb cost, it's down at 5% as a default, but you can play around with that. I can show you also later how. After refurb property value, again, this is an estimation. We can also look at property data to realize the potential here, and I can show you in a moment how, and expected monthly rent, same. So what we can do on the property, a moment, back into this. Maybe it's here. I didn't bring down the full postcode. All right, so that's why it's not coming up. Also the analysis. So I'll show that later in a different place. I'm just going to skim through this again. Basically, hopefully this will help our editor. Basically, we've downloaded this from Rightmove on the BRRR analysis. We can see here the map. We can see the basic metrics. Again, we can play around with these. And then what we're going to get is we're going to get the opportunity to play with the project length. This is going to change the cost of the bridging loan. So the shorter the bridging loan, obviously, the less it's going to cost. And we can see the letting period. This is based on the first year. And then we can see the holding period. So this is going to be like a breakdown of the period that we're actually holding onto the property. This is also for, let's say, 15 years or whatever it is. We can see the property value. We can see the mortgage balance and equity. We can see the cash flow. And the way to really break down exactly why all these different numbers are showing up would be up here in the edit. So if we go into edit, we can scroll through this and change smaller metrics. So is this a first time home buying? Is it additional property? The refurb costs, this is what I wanted to show you, Ruth, regarding the advanced work plan generator. So I haven't saved this property, but if I were to save the property, I could get a more serious breakdown and I could write in the furnishing, the refurb. I could add a long list of all the things that I think need done, the windows, so on and so on, new gate for the front, and basically come up with the sum that I assume is going to be the cost.
Does that just make it more accurate and update it as you are completing that bit?
Exactly.
Or does it? Okay.
Also that, and also I think obviously as you teach, there's a cumulative data that we want to know. So there's a reason that we keep track of the information, and there's a reason that we keep track of receipts, not only for the tax purposes, but also to realize 2-3 years down the line, was this a good buy? Was this not a good buy? What were the returns actually? Let's face the real facts. Let's talk about what's actually happening. And so it's really important when we go on a project and we say £15,000, but then at the end of the day, we see £25,000. So in 3 years or in 2 years, or in your case, in 2 months, when you start off on another project, then you're going to be able to say, okay, we actually overestimated the value, the budget. It wasn't 30K, it was 25K. Apparently it's become cheaper over the last few years, and we can bring down the estimation on changing the roof or whatever it is. So I think that's really important, and part of the game plan and the work plan generator is also to realize retroactively where you correct on your assumptions. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
especially if you were to then buy another property, then you and especially if it was in a the same or similar area, and you've got a ballpark based on that your first one to go by, then the estimated numbers.
Fantastic. Yeah. Anyway, so that's regarding the work plan. As I said, there's going to be a new feature coming out soon, so that's exciting. Purchase financing. So basically, this is going to be for the bridging loan for the first R. And then we have here the LTV, the loan amount, and so on. So this is a breakdown of the first loan. Then we have after the refurb, basically we have the refinance. Sorry, the refurb and the property value estimation. So here we're going to see basically the value rising. This is going to be the expected rent. I think this won't come through because we don't have the full postcode. Let's see. So here we have a before and after. I hope this will come through. Let's see. I'll just do a quick test. It's not a real postcode. It doesn't have the full postcode. I want to just take a different example so that we can show everybody what we're talking about. All right. So what I want to show you here in the before and after postcode analysis, basically we want to try to realize before we buy the property, we want to try to realize, okay, it's going to go for X amount of money. And after the refurb, it's going to be higher value, probably, hopefully. So the interior finish is going to go from average to hopefully very high. There might not be off-street parking at first, but we're going to create off-street parking. And we're actually going to make it a 5-bedroom instead of a 4-bedroom, for example. So we're going to get an estimation. And what this is going to tell us is going to say, okay, if you were to spend X amount of money, the estimation is going to be that you would be profitable. These are going to be the returns. So let's see what we come up with.
So this uses property data to...
Yeah, we work with property data as our partners, bringing live information, a lot of accumulative data here. So it's really helpful to understand the potential. And yeah, property data, they're really great.
Yeah, I think property data is really good because, yeah, when I saw that, I would use Lendlord to estimate the value of our properties and rentals that we could get. And property data is the one that all the big estate agencies and letting agencies use, don't they? So it's nice
Yeah.
that's built into Lendlord, and we can use the same system instead of going on Move and trying to average out what everybody's doing.
Yeah, exactly. So I think this is an opportunity just to manage this business as a pro. Like there's a lot of pro insights here that help you make sure that you're making smart decisions. So we can see here property value before and after it's changed by £180,000. And we can see the rent income was raised by about 20%, just a bit under 20%. I'm not sure exactly, but we can see the changes and we can understand, okay, this has raised value. There's another question, okay, if there wasn't off-street parking, is that going to change a lot? And there's just these different questions that we can ask to understand, should I spend £40,000 building this or not? Whatever it is. All right, so I'm going to close this window. Let period finance. Again here, so you might say, okay, actually I do have quite a lot of cash on hand, and for me it's more important to be positive cash flow rather than raise equity. And so there's these different questions of what's your strategy? Interest only, capital and interest, mortgage fees, managing agent, yes or no. So if you don't have a managing agent, then you don't have to leave that in. Click save, and basically that's going to change all the numbers here. The whole breakdown, everything is changed according to what we've just done. We can see IRR pretty high at the moment. We can see property value appreciation going pretty high over time. And if we want to go on the safe side, we could also go for a worst case scenario, which would be high inflation, low property value appreciation. And we can still see it's a pretty good deal in this case. Obviously, a fictive case, but yeah, so we can still see the metrics even in the worst case scenario, which is pretty interesting. If there's low rental value appreciation, if there's only 92% occupancy rate, if there's 5-year inflation. Becky, you chose the BRRR, and I'm happy about that because we can see so many metrics here, so much information condensed into one place. You've changed some metrics on the refinancing, and you can see everything in the returns. You've changed the length of the project. You can see that in the returns. You can say, okay, in the worst case scenario, what are my returns? There's so much information that just with the click of a button, you can get to see a lot of information. And I think that's fantastic. So I'm happy you chose this option. Obviously, if it was just a flip or something of the sort, then it would be easier and less data.
I like that there's a best and worst case scenario, because
Yes.
back in the day when we were doing it all on a spreadsheet, I think there's a crazy stat that the number, like spreadsheets have a very high percentage of just being totally inaccurate. And I think by default, it's just best case scenario. And then it doesn't manage your expectations or let you really think about, like, what if things didn't go to plan, or
Yeah.
you end up having lots of little tabs that are just, it's just too much for every single property. So I find this, there's like very little room for error, and everything auto updates without me trying to have to figure out what's the cell formula that I need to
Exactly.
adjust, or if I
Exactly.
miss something. Like, yeah, this is a relief. And the fact that you can adjust the scenario settings as well.
Yeah.
Based on how risky you want or risk averse you want to be.
Yeah.
That's really
Exactly.
useful.
Yeah. Exactly. I agree. I think it's very strong. So even if you were to go like worst case scenario, anyways, you can still see positive cash flow, which is interesting. So that's really cool. I'm happy to get to show this to the two of you. And something that's also a cool feature here on the deal analyzer is you can go to generate report. You could do it with the different scenarios. You could also get a report with the postcode insights. I'm just going to go for a plain report. There's already so much statistics here on the BRRR, so we can basically see all the data brought down into one place.
That's so good. So when you are approaching an investor, you can just be like, here you go.
Exactly.
It's done.
Exactly. Even better when you're approaching an investor, you could actually go to generate report and add your own branded logo.
So good.
Yeah. So basically, yeah, exactly. So you come with your own branded logo. These are the metrics. This is the report, and it's of high benefit in my opinion. So Anyways, Becky and Ruth, this is the deal analyzer with the Chrome extension.
So how do you get the Chrome extension then?
So what you can do is
Where
you
would
can
we
actually
find
just
it?
you can go online. You'll have to spell it correctly. A moment.
Oh, awesome. So
Um,
you just go on Google's like app bit and then
it is, I can send you a
there
link
it
to
is.
it.
That's it, isn't it? With
No,
the
because
one in the middle?
this is the Lendlord app
Oh.
itself.
Which we also love, by the way, especially on our phones.
Yeah, it's very useful in that sense. Very accessible. Advisor X. See, maybe it's just up here in the manage extensions. Here, it's in when you just go in. Hey Becky, thank you for the question. What you do in order to get the Chrome extension, you would just want to go up here into the extensions and go to manage extensions. Then you can look up Lendlord and come across the Lendlord Deal Analyzer extension. That's what's going to enable you to download that and have it really accessible up here.
That's so good. And then when you need to search, just make sure you're using Chrome, right? When you're doing your property searches, and then you can use the extension.
I think it's also available in other
Like Safari.
platforms. Yeah, I think it is available there as well. I don't think it's only about Chrome. Just specifically, I use Chrome. Yeah, I don't think it's specifically for Chrome. All right. So other than that, is there anything that you're keen to know about the Deal Analyzer or about the Chrome extension itself? The Deal Analyzer extension?
I think it does everything. It's just streamlined the process that would have taken us hours with less room for error.
And I think when you're looking at deals, we say this a lot with other investors, with newbies, that you have to look at the worst case scenario. And I think that's probably the simplest but the best part of this, is that you can look at the best and the worst, and you always have to pick the worst. And by using spreadsheets, we have got lost in our own spreadsheets where you just it's harder to look at the worst case scenario because the best case scenario always looks the most tempting. So I'm really grateful that this is already included.
Nice. Yeah, so I think in that sense, I definitely agree that there's a saying, what's better than, just a moment, I want to make sure I get this right. What's more important than making a good investment? Not making a bad one. So in that sense, I think, Becky, you wanted to say something?
No, it just made me laugh because that's on the edge of my seat what the saying was going to be. But yeah, that is true.
Okay. Okay, did I say it well? Was that okay?
Yeah, you did it well. Just because Ruth and I are really bad at sayings, so I wasn't sure if you were like us.
No, so I think it came across okay. So basically, like the idea is, I completely agree with you, Ruth. Let's not make bad investments. Like let's try to make the bottom line, the worst case scenario, let's just keep the money we have. Underestimate value, underestimate returns, and let's be surprised for the better. That's going to help us make sure that we make the right financial decisions. So that's in the Deal Analyzer. That's the Chrome extension.
Oh, I have one question. On the top right,
Fantastic.
it says show comparables. What does that button do if you press it?
Fantastic. So when we click on show comparables, we are able to see in this area. Can't see at the moment. I think it's because of I'll show you here. I'm going to show you here on a different case. Something with the postcode there wasn't playing up with us. Sorry about that. So basically, when I go into a property, I can click on show comparables. That's going to show up a lot of different properties that are being sold right nearby. So I can see there's a flat here going for 320, flat going for 500, a flat going for 280. And that's just going to help me understand what's actually happening in the area. Also, when I go down to the street and I look around and I can say, okay, here's a flat going for 500. This is a flat going for 300. I can make sense of what are the prices in the area.
That's so good. And also you
That's
can
our city as well.
Ah, really? No kidding.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
Fantastic.
really good.
It's really good. And it can also show you how many properties are for sale as well.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think that's important actually to see that, because if the platform is averaging out properties that are too far away, then that's not a very accurate representation of the stats on that property. So I think it's good
100%.
to see that, okay, this is a lot more accurate because it's based on properties that are really close by.